trail miles apart, and I won't leave, 'cause I guarantee that I'll never find where you are. Won't be, 'cause I'll never see why you're so afraid that you all away from me. You're so afraid that you all away from me.
Hi, this is Stacy from Stigma Does Not Define Us. This is a podcast by Mental Health, and we like to feature stories of gentlemen who have been through all sorts of things, whether it be depression, anxiety, PTSD, alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, anything that they've been through that they sought help for, and because of asking for help, they have done better. Today we have Talik Monroe, who is a very inspiring young man. I am wildly impressed. He just put out this book, and I just got it on Amazon, From Trauma to Triumph. Talik, you should be so proud of yourself. Let's switch spots here. Boom, there he is. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on here.
I am so happy to have you. I think, reading your book, it is heartbreaking to read what such a young man has gone through. You were just a little kid. And how do you make sense of any of that? And in your book, very thoughtfully and sensitively, just goes through it. You go right to the heart of what happened. And I think you're brave to do so. And I think that what more men need who have been through sexual abuse is to know that they're not alone. And in every last raw detail, there has to be room to be able to talk about it and to unload, or else there's no healing. That doesn't begin. Tell us your process and about the book and what you want to talk about today.
You want me to do the process about the book?
Yeah, the process about the book, and because you mentioned that on your live yesterday, and how happy you were to get it done, and then the process of the healing, and how do you even begin to address the elephant in the room, and how do you break down that amount of pain to move through it?
Yes. So the process about the book, it started a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So I was writing chapters. I got to like the fourth chapter, and then I guess reliving that stuff over again was like traumatic for me. It was like way down on my mental health. I was depressed. I was suicidal, and I was okay. Let me take a break because we're living this stuff. Yeah, I'm in therapy too, so like we're living this stuff and in therapy is not helping. So I put the book down, stopped writing it. I had stopped writing it, and then like a couple months ago, I just got like encouraged to finish it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I did it, I said I'm going to make 7 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a short book. I know I can tell my story and hit every point in a short book. So, I have something that I did something that I accomplished, tell my story in a short book, easy read. You can read the book in 1 day or 2 days, depending. I know my story had to get out there, because I always thought like my story wasn't good enough. People made me feel like it wasn't good enough. It made me feel like, men ain't going to talk about this. Men don't do this. That's like not okay for you to talk about. But I want to thank my aunt. She gave me my first speaking engagement on this subject. She has an organization for women against sexual and domestic abuse, and I wound up telling her that I was molested, and it broke her heart. But I spoke before COVID. I spoke at her event. It was in front of her. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been difficult, scary. You must have been nervous.
Oh yeah, I was nervous. That was my first speaking. I was so nervous.
Oh, Wow. So, Talik, I don't know if you want to go over what happened to you. So people have sort of an overview. I think, how young you were
Yeah,
and then just the death of some very key people in your life. It's amazing what you've endured. And I want people to get a picture of the mountain that you've
yeah.
climbed here.
So I've been through childhood sexual abuse. Two of my cousins molested me as a child. I was being molested and couldn't say nothing, right? Nobody growing up told me that it was okay to say something if somebody did something
Hmm.
to you. They did stay, don't talk to strangers, but nobody said it was okay if somebody do something to you. I
Right.
would believe you. As a child, that caused behavioral problems. So me
Sure.
as a child, I want to say something, but I'm thinking like nobody in my family is going to believe me because I act out. I've been put away on Herschel Clinic before by my grandma, and
Gotcha.
I didn't want to. I was protecting family members and not protecting the little Talik. I was saying like stuff like I didn't want to tell nobody because I'm like I don't want to start no trouble. I don't want nobody to be beefing. I didn't
Hmm.
know what would happen with my safety. I didn't know if something would happen to me if I said something. So, I held that in as a child and, that turned into like anger,
Hmm.
aggression. I was bad. I was very disrespectful, as I
Hmm.
said in Lives and in my book, to my mom and my
Hmm.
grandma. My mom and dad were on drugs. My
Yeah.
grandma took me from the hospital. I'm forever thankful for that because I don't know how my life would have turned out. Um, it was just a lot that I just was holding in as a child that I didn't realize it until I got older,
Yeah.
until I turned 26,
Hmm.
26, age 26, 27. But I
Hmm.
started going back to the church and I realized, okay, I got issues that I need to work on. I
Yeah.
thought that childhood sexual abuse was over. I just thought I forgot about it. But, I guess it was
Oh,
in the
see.
back of my mind waiting till I got a certain age to come out.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting that you say that because, it will creep up. There will be something that you think is just, "Oh, okay, that was my past.
Yeah.
That's way back there. It's coming." That is a very significant thing to have to heal from, and just I think you said ages 10 to
Yeah.
14 in your book, and it's just staggering to think of such a young child dealing with such a horrible thing at such a young age, and then you wanted today to discuss the church and I wanted to give you an opportunity to share your experience when you reached out for help and like how you reached out for help and what sort of things you saw were good and what things you didn't think were so good.
So when I started going back to church, right, it was like 3 years ago, probably 4 years ago. Um, when I had started, yeah, it probably was like 2017, 2018 when I
Okay.
started my job at the post office. Um, I started going to church, and I didn't realize I had issues like with men until I
Mhm.
started going to church, which is so crazy that throughout these years of my life, I didn't realize I had, I hung out with a lot of girls, so I didn't realize I had a issue with men, a trust issue with men. So
Sure.
when I went there, it was hard for me. It was like people thought I was standoffish. I know one guy was like, when I tried to shake your hand, he was like he was standoffish, and that felt bad because like I have a great personality. I'm a good person, loving and kind. And when somebody said that, I was okay. When that person said that, I said, okay, I have a problem. Because I was acting out, I was lashing out. I wasn't no angel. I was lashing out on people that cared about me and loved me, wanted to help me. And I was like pushing people away, lashing out. It was like so bad and everything. But like with the church and mental health, I just want churches. I feel like I said this on my live yesterday. I feel like there should be a mental health professional placed inside the church on staff because we have people in church. Some of these big churches they have people in church that have mental health problems, but they're not being cared for right. I
Mhm.
probably feel like I wasn't cared for right. We can't just say it's the devil, it's the enemy. Some people need God, but some people also need therapy. They need help. Some people can't afford therapy, so they should put people in a church on staff that get
Mhm.
paid to do it
Mhm.
to help them with mental health problems. And I came up with that yesterday, which is crazy. I never thought of it, and I was like, "Oh, that would be dope."
Well, that's a fantastic idea because how simple is it to certainly, on any Sunday, the pastor up there say, if you are a mental health professional, if you know a mental health
Yeah,
professional, that mental health professional might volunteer some hours for the church because
yeah,
it's so expensive. You know what I mean? So, I think that is a great idea, and I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you start going church to church, telling your story and
Yeah.
suggesting to those pastors,
Yeah.
maybe you put this in place and ask for a volunteer, maybe volunteer hours. And if they have the money to pay the therapist,
Yeah.
that's great. But maybe they would volunteer some hours
Yeah.
for something like that. No, I totally agree. And I think it's, you know, oh, God heals all and oh, it's just the devil. Well, God uses the therapist to get you there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think that's a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about how you have been feeling through since COVID hit. Okay, because COVID's been a hard time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And did you feel that COVID was a time that made your depression worse, or was it a time that you were able to use for healing? Um, how did you feel? How did you cope through that time?
So when COVID first started, everybody got the news. They was like, you can't
Mm,
wear a mask. Like they say, you can't touch your eyelids and all that stuff. And I was
uh,
like, okay, I'm always in the house. I feel like I'm alone. This is going to be perfect for me. Oh no, that was so bad. Like COVID was so bad. I was depressed. My depression got worse. I just didn't want to live.
yep,
So many suicide thoughts. It was
yep,
just staying in the house and the world just being closed. It was just a lot. Thank God I had friends from my church that
yep.
I would go to their house every Sunday. We'll watch our church. My
Mhm,
friend Beatrice, my friend Stefan, my friend Cassie, my friend Gerald, and my
mhm.
friend Jess. We would go to two of our friends' houses. The brother and sister, we go to their house every Sunday. So thank God that was in place, because if that was not in place, I don't know where I would be right now.
Right.
And COVID was so hard. It really opened up a lot of stuff that I had to look inside, like, okay, Talik, you need to fix this. You need to fix this. You need to get this together. You need to get that together. And it really challenged me, because I really thought I was one of the people. I'm like, I'm a homebody. It's not going to affect me staying in the house.
Right. Well, yeah, I think pretty quickly you realize when you're alone and there's nothing to distract you, all that old stuff definitely comes up. And I've said to many people, you distract yourself and you're running and you're running and you're running. So this thing that's way back here all of a sudden will hit you in the back when you're forced to be still. And I
Yeah.
think that's why COVID was very, very difficult for so many. So tell me about you said you're seeing a therapist. How long have you been seeing that therapist?
So I was seeing a therapist, I could say, for like, so when the pandemic first started, right? I saw a therapist, right? I was like,
Mhm.
let me get into therapy quick. And I saw that therapist for a year, but I wound up leaving that therapist because, like, my sister had died 9 months later after my mom died.
Mm,
And I was just like, I don't have time to be trying to fix my life. I'm trying to grieve. I was trying to grieve my mom. About the time I wanted to grieve her, my sister had died. So
oh
I
my
stopped seeing
gosh.
him. But recently I went back. I've been through other therapists, but I went back to him. It was so dope. He was like, just send me your information and we can put you in and everything. So I've been seeing him for like a year, and I actually been better seeing him. He's helped me a lot, like a lot. That's why I encourage therapy to
Mhm,
people, not just God, not just friends, not just support groups.
mhm,
Therapy is also good. They are there to help you. And every therapist is not for everybody, but you
mhm.
will find your therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. And I say that most episodes. It may not be the first therapist, it might be the third. You just have to keep trying till you find that person that really clicks with you. And also just delivery of the way they deliver a message means so much. Now, are you on any medications? Do you mind if I ask that
Yes.
question?
Yes. So I take Seroquel.
Hmm.
It's been helping me.
Yeah.
I have a medical card for medical marijuana.
Mhm.
I don't do it much, but like it helps. That stuff that I use, it helps me with anxiety. So
Sure.
before the pandemic and before I got to these the deep depression, I was a social butterfly, but I'm not that no more.
Right.
I get in my head when I go around people. I feel like I need like some type of medical marijuana to calm me down, to just keep my mind focused, because I'll get in my mind and be like, I don't belong
Hmm.
here, I don't fit in. Why am I
Hmm.
here? I just
Hmm.
feel out place or whatever.
Yeah. So, I first reached out to you, I want to say it was 4 or 5 months ago, and I found you. I can't even remember how I came across you, honestly, but
Was it the video I did with Mike, or was it
oh,
the
it was
video?
Flip White. Maybe it was Flip White.
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
way
We did
okay,
Instagram Live. Instagram Live. Yeah, I remember now.
yeah, and then I was following you, and I really enjoyed the conversation between the both
Yeah,
of you, and then you are so transparent, and you're on Instagram, and some of your posts have been heartbreaking to read,
yeah,
and I've reached out to you, and I have gone to bed worried about you. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? And we're perfect strangers,
yeah,
really. And I'm like, and you've been very transparent about how dark you can get.
yeah,
And what I want, what I kind of liked, not liked is the wrong word, but to watch somebody struggling in real time
yeah,
and then post the next day. I think it's so important for other people in dark places
yeah,
to be journeying with you. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Because Talik is getting up in the morning,
yeah,
the sun set, the sun rose, and he is posting today,
yeah.
so what I wanna say to you, despite how dark some of those moments were, what got you to the sunrise? What got you through?
So what got me through, right? I sometimes, I was heavily depressed. Just didn't
Mhm.
want to live and stuff like that. So I know, like posting, it was just like an outlet for me.
Yeah.
What got me through them times is honestly thinking about one of my friends, Dante Austin, that committed suicide.
Okay.
I just thought about like if I did this, even though anytime I went there many times depressed, I thought
Yeah.
about if I do this, this will affect a lot of people. I thought about when, my friend Dante, like he was engaged to his fiance. He
Mm.
was an openly gay cop in Philadelphia, and he was
Mhm.
doing like a lot for his community, gay community in Philly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was a cool person. And then to, him to struggle in silence and not say nothing to nobody. And he, you know, died by suicide. It just,
Mm.
it broke my heart. I
Yeah.
cried. Like that's one of the. I had other friends that committed suicide, but that one had me crying. That was somebody that saved my life when I wanted to die a long time ago.
Right,
So I
interesting.
cried. So I was like, I can't like leave people like that. Even
Yep.
though I go back to it, I was going back to it, back and forth. Want to die. But that only thing that kept me going was like the people I leave behind.
Yeah.
I live with my cousin now, so I don't want to kill myself in here. And
Yeah.
that could traumatize her. Or the kids might come in here and see me like that.
Yep. So then over these past several weeks, couple months, I have noticed a shift in your posts. I mean, your smile, you're vibrant. I was just like, like
Yeah.
what occurred? Because you are definitely, brighter and happier,
Mhm.
and you seem more content, and like you've moved through some healing.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Because there's definitely a corner that you turned.
So, shout out to my friend Clarkson Payne. He's a dope person.
Ah.
One day at work, I was working from home. No longer working from home now. I was working from home, and I was sending some text messages about me being like, this is my last day here. I just don't want to be here. I'm gonna
Mhm.
call in crisis to my house, right? But the cops came. I live in Delaware now. Philly is
Mhm.
close to Delaware, so the cops came, and I couldn't have been mad at him because he was being a friend. I couldn't have been mad, but I was just mad that the cops wouldn't let me leave. So when that
Right.
happened, I was okay. I gotta change. And going to therapy, like my therapist, what my therapist told me, right? He was like, Leak. He said you got to stop giving the sexual abuse so much power. Other stuff happened to you that
Mhm.
made you the way that you are today. And I was like, wow, like being on therapist, like my therapy, issues with men. Never thought I'd be on a phone call with a therapist crying my eyes out. Like that therapist heard me cry like 2 times.
Yeah.
And the day my friend called crisis in my house, and I was going to Philly to get my haircut to go to Florida the next day. I was on the phone crying and stuff like that. So I knew it had to be a change, right? Because close friend Clarkson wasn't liking the way I was going. He was,
Yep.
just like you, going to sleep worried about me, not know if I'll be here the next day, just worried and
Mm.
everything. He got other stuff going on in his life. So I have changed a lot. My therapist was like, this is not the same Talik. I told him, I said, I'm doing my Instagram lives.
Mm.
I work and volunteer for NAMI, which
Mhm.
is so dope. I had got facilitated in the month of January, and I was like really shocked that I got it because like November, December, I was depressed. I bought myself an urn. I was ready to die. I don't know if
Oh,
everybody know
wow.
that. I bought an urn and I was ready to go. I was just like, I can't take this no more. I don't have my mom here, my sister. I was depressed, and I was ready to go. So like for my therapist to see that to now, he's like, it's a whole different Talik. You know, like sometimes we don't really have nothing to talk about when we talk. I upped it. You know, it was bad. I upped it. When it got bad,
Yeah.
I said I need to go every week, and I was going every week.
Good. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the shift in the posts were so obvious, and the singing and you're belting it out. I was like, I love this. I was just so happy to see you singing, and it's just, I don't know. I love your transparency. I love your honesty, and you have a very sweet way about you. How is the rest of your family? Families can have a really hard time with
Yeah.
the victim coming out, because so much of the time the victim's not the one
Yeah.
protected, it's the perpetrator who's protected. And as you were coming out, how did they respond to you about what happened to you?
I remember one time my dad, was like, I'm lying.
Mm,
If that happened to me, I would have told my grandma, because my grandma raised me, and my grandma was my
yep.
heart and soul. But I ain't tell nobody. That was like back then. But as I'm speaking about it now, I think one of my brothers that I grew up with, that was like a second dad to me. He wanted to know for the longest, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
tell you. And then I wound up telling him. He was like, "What if my son is around that person?" I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta tell him." So we met up, went to
Right.
dinner, and I told him stuff like that. I showed him screenshots. One thing about me, I had screenshots of when I forgave the people that abused me. Is in my phone. I had the screenshots of me writing to them, telling them what they did to me and how fucked up it was and what they did and everything. Then I forgive them and love them, and I showed them that. Even though he believed me, I still showed them. I was like, "Hey, look, here it go." But I wanted to tell him because of that. But that's all I wanted to tell him, because I want to fix like our brotherhood, because like my view of family is different from his view of family.
Okay. What would you say the difference is?
Um, I guess his my view is just like why care about family when family hurt me like that, like I
Hmm.
see like doing other stuff, not even the sexual abuse. One of my uncles, my grandma had him beat with a extension cord with no clothes on. I was just got
Hmm.
beat in my back with whips on my back. Went to school, couldn't sit down. It was hard for me to sit down. no teacher
Hmm.
realized no teacher realized that I was in pain, which was so heartbreaking and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
only person I realized was my mom when I went to my mom's house, and I love my grandma so much that I didn't even want to tell her she did it. I didn't know something that was her fault. I just was like, I didn't say nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I kind of have a similar view about family. Of course, we love our family, but
Yes.
being blood doesn't give you license to
Yeah.
abuse me in any way. You know what I mean? It doesn't give you the license to speak to me like that, touch me like that, or
Yep.
whatever it is. So, if this person wasn't blood, you certainly be friends with them, and
Not
you
at
deserve
all.
as much respect from your family members as you do anyone at work or anyone of your friends.
Yeah.
So forgiveness, my friend, I am blessed enough to have not gone through what you've been through,
Yeah.
and when I my try to put myself in those shoes, forgiveness isn't the F word I'm thinking of, and I don't know how you wrote to these
Yes.
gentlemen. What
Yeah.
is it okay to ask what you said? Did they
Oh,
respond? Like,
I can definitely let me pull it up. I can definitely, this you're the
oh,
first person I did an interview that asked me, but I definitely can pull it up. So one of the cousins I said, what I'm about to send you, I need you to read for yourself and yourself only. I said, what I'm about to say between me and you, never told anyone. I was lying. I did tell people. I told 4 people that I was molested and who did it
mhm,
and everything.
mhm,
And no one knows, but I suffer from depression, and part of that comes from as a child. You violated me and made me do stuff I didn't want to do as a child. And as a Christian, I gotta forgive you. Give you. I have been around you during family events and showed you respect and everything. You may not remember what you did to me, but I forgive you for what you did to me as a child. I don't know. You may block me, but I promise I didn't tell anyone. Broke that promise. I was lying. Tell
that's
anyone.
okay, that's okay.
And I didn't tell anyone in my family because I'm not a person who will ruin someone's life or image or whatever parts, but or image or whatever. But my part of my depression comes from when I was violated as a child. And like I said, I forgive you if you remember what you did or not, because what y'all did made me an angry person and hate family. But now I'm into church and into God. I really and I wanted to finally release that. Love y'all and everything, and don't look at y'all differently and stuff like that. I sent it to one cousin first, right? One
Yeah.
of the cousins, let me see. One of the cousins, he said, I forgot what he said. He said, when I said that, he said, as a kid myself, I really remember, I can't remember, but I apologize if I hurt you because I would never violate you or try to hurt you on purpose. I've been through it too as a child, to be honest, which I kept to myself. I will never block you. And again, I apologize for hurting you. I love you too. Moving forward, if you're going through things and need an ear or anything, I'm here. If you feel comfortable, I've been depressed a lot myself. But like that, and the other cousin had me call him. I guess he was right. He remembered. He said like, you talk about what me and this person did, but he was a little smart with his telling me to call him. But that one I just read, I was like, that's not an excuse. I don't care if it happened to you. Why? If it happened to you, why would you do that to somebody else?
Right. I've
But why
always
would
had
I,
a hard time with that
yeah.
too.
But why would I feel comfortable if I'm depressed? Come talking to you. You're my abuser. Just to make
Yeah.
sense. Because I'm at an age now where I choose like not to be around. I don't have to be around nobody that did anything wrong to me. I don't have to be around you at all.
Talik, it's amazing. It's amazing that capacity for forgiveness. I don't know if I'd have it. It would take God for me to be able to have that degree for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know they say, oh, the forgiveness is about you. And that is true.
So,
You need to let it go. But arriving there, that must have been a
so
long
it took me a
journey.
while. It took me a long, yeah, it took me a long time to get there. So I remember one time I was at work and I was working at radio. I was a cashier and like my manager, we were joking, and then I just got like had like deeply depressed and I was crying at the register. I had to go into the back. I had called my sister-in-law. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm just going through this, what they did. You're just like they just living their life. But you gotta forgive them for yourself,
Yeah.
That's what people say.
Yeah.
That shit didn't work for me at all. Like, cause I
Mm.
was still struggling. So when I went back to church like a couple years ago, and I'll never forget this pastor, his name Pastor Joey from the Block Church. I'm thankful for what he said. He preached a sermon. He was saying that you can't say you love your heavenly father if you can't forgive your earthly father for the stuff that he didn't do. So I went to go forgive my father for. That's how I started. I forgave my father for calling me a faggot, just calling me stuff when I came out and
Mm.
everything. I
Mm.
forgave him, and then that forgiveness went to one of the cousins the next day, and then the next day another cousin. Like I felt like a relief was off my shoulder, but it was
Mm.
still like I gotta pick up the pieces of my life and put it back together because they broke me. I always say this. I always say this. One of my friends, Nettie Long Poetry, shout out to her. She has a platform called it's on StreamYard and Facebook and everything called "They Took My Choice Away." She got that from me because I always say that what they did to me, they took my choice away to
Yeah.
choose who I wanted to be. But
Yeah.
now I'm speaking about it. I'm taking my power back.
Yeah. No, you're amazing. And so my other question is, you say you're still struggling. I
Yeah.
haven't seen posts where you've been as dark and down as you have
Yes.
before. Would you say that there's a difference in these few months than the prior few months when you feel yourself dip a little bit? Is there something different that you do to keep yourself up?
So it's a difference because before I was taking some medicine
Mhm.
before this medicine I'm taking now, but it was like the side effects I didn't like, so I stopped taking it. So I
Got
went
it.
off of my medicine. So I was like struggling until I
Mhm.
made another appointment, got some better medicine. I can say now if I go that way dark road, it's not what it used to be. It's not
Right.
the extreme, like, I'm about to kill myself, I'm about to do this.
Right.
I think more of my posts now, I'm feeling sad or alone and stuff like that. Because sometimes I do feel alone. I released a book. I passed
Yep.
the test for my job, and I still felt
Yes.
empty and alone. I feel like I didn't have nobody to hang with, to celebrate, to drink with. I was just like, this is an accomplishment, because like I have like a learning disability. I always had it since I was a child. So that me passing that class
It's a big
was
deal.
amazing. It was amazing because the first time when I started at the post office 4 years ago, I felt it.
Mm.
And I didn't know if it was because of learning disability or it was because that time that I was in class, I had found out my mom had cancer.
Oh,
So I didn't
see?
know.
Yes,
I
that might
didn't
do it.
know. I didn't know. My therapist was like, "It's probably because you had, your mom had cancer." And I was, I don't know, because I do have a learning disability. But
Mhm.
it proved that it was because my mom had cancer. I probably wasn't focused. Getting
Yeah.
news like that, I wasn't even focused. But I,
Well, yeah. your experience. I mean, the trauma, it's not one trauma. You have layers of trauma. You know what I'm saying? It's you were dealing with many things. And so congratulations on passing.
Thank
What
you.
is this? So tell me, does this allow you to get a new position, or
No,
tell us
so
about
I
that?
was working from home, right? And inside the post office, and it was so stressful for me just sitting in this room all day. Not, I'm lived in Delaware now. I moved to Delaware because I made a choice to move my cousin, to save up and get my finances together. But it
Mhm.
mostly living by myself, it wasn't good for my mental health. I could not do it and stuff like that. I was times after I was going to die. It was times after I was going to take a lot of pills and just go.
Yeah.
So I made that choice to move to Delaware. Delaware and Philly not far from me, just like 30 minutes away. The job is basically so like anywhere, like if I could work at any station, like any post office that has a window,
Mhm.
I may not be working at the window, I may be working in distribution, but you got to be qualified, window qualified. So you got to take a class and take a test
Got
to
it.
be window here. So that was a big deal. Like, and I went back to my old section that I worked in, so it was actually good. I was happy, I went back this week and people miss me a lot. It felt good to be missed and loved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you back, like all the people that come pick up mail in our station or just all the carriers, the mailman and plug. There's oh my god, you back? I was like, it felt good. It felt really, really good.
That's so important to hear. I am so
Yeah.
glad that they said that to you because I don't know, I literally laugh out loud when you post those pictures with your big smile. You totally light up a room, and then I'm just like, oh, he seems so good, and I can
Yeah.
just the difference is so obvious.
Yeah.
Um, how about you mentioned an author, and I think it was a female. What was the author you just mentioned when you were talking about, You Took My Choice Away? What was that person's name?
She's a poet.
Okay.
Her name is Nettie Long Poetry. Yes.
Okay, Nitty Long Poetry. I wanna mention her because I always put a little list of
Yeah.
things that helped you for other people to tap into. Do you have a favorite book or a favorite speaker that, really helped you weed through all this?
Do all this? No, or maybe no. It's just the support of my friends that had me
Got
go
you.
to support my friend Nettie
Mhm,
Long Poetry, my friend Cassie.
mhm.
We had deep talks. My friend Clarkson Payne, he's been a dope friend. Like he's one of them guys that I've tried my best because of my depression and childhood sexual abuse push away, and he has said, "Bro, I'm staying. We brothers forever." I'd have put that
Oh,
man through a lot of stress, but he still stayed as my friend. That's what type of friends you need in your corner. Friends that's going to do that. And
yeah.
like it's just friends that kept me, my friend. Like you see my book, the thank whatever you see in my book, the thank you part is all the people that have been a part
Yes.
of my journey. If they see me sad, they see me cry, they see whatever. When my mom died, they was there. When
Yeah.
my sister died, they was there. If I needed something, they was there. One of my friends, Megan, that's in the
Mhm.
book, as a thank you. She did my documentary where I released a documentary about my story. There's a lot of support system. It's
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm. Well, and yes, it is it's a long list of friends. You have
Yes.
quite a beautiful group of friends, and that is so very important that you have friends that are lifting you up and not, not bringing you down. And, some people can sort of pull the energy out of the room. You
Yeah.
can't have that when you're going through such a very difficult time like this. You know, Talik, I'm just let's put a side by side here. I'm just wildly impressed by everything about you. You've
Yes.
you've been through some unspeakable pain and abuse, and there's no flowery words to get around
Yeah.
how horrible it is that what you went through. And I think, as I said at the beginning, thank you
Yeah.
for speaking out, even with all those details, because
Yeah.
there's more men than we wanna think of that have been sexually abused. So, specific to that, as I close, what would you wanna say to a man who has been sexually abused at whatever point in his life, whether he was a young man or older, who's suffering and just doesn't know how to talk about it? What do you suggest for him?
Before I suggest, I just want to say, I want to thank one more person, my friend Nikki D. DePoe. You probably saw her name, and thank you. Because of her, I was able to write this book. Right,
Oh.
we worked together at Walmart together, and
Oh, nice.
we've been through a lot. She seen my struggles, I seen her struggles, and she released like I think 5 or 6 books now, and
Really?
that was a motivation for me to really get my book out. I'm like, my friend did that, let me see if I can do it too, But I just wanted to say that real quick. But
Oh.
what I tell a guy that's struggling, I would say, get you some accountability partners. Accountability partners are good. You don't need no yes people around you.
Mhm.
You don't need no people that's gonna cuddle you. You need people that's gonna be there and really fight for you. Because sometimes you're not going to fight for yourself.
Yeah.
And you need them people that's gonna fight harder for you than you'll fight for yourself. Therapy, God, whatever your religion is, get into it. But make sure you want to change. The change has to start within. You got to make sure you want to change. There was times that I was in therapy, not doing homework, just going there, just talking my feelings out, but not doing the homework wasn't helping me.
Right.
I'm doing so much try to fix myself. I might be happy now and good mood and good spirits, but I'm also still trying to heal the little me. There's this guy named Nate on Instagram. He has a course called Healing the Younger You. You probably see some of the posts that I put on my story. His name Nate. I can't pronounce the last name,
That's
but
okay.
he has a program called Healing the Younger You, and somebody sponsored me to go to it. So I'm definitely gonna do that. Even though I'm in a good space, I still want to go tackle stuff that I didn't tackle. So just get into therapy, get help. Make sure you reach out. Don't believe the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that stigma where men can't speak up, they can't be sad, they can't be depressed. F the stigma. Speak up. Speak up. Fight for your life. If you don't want to fight for it, let somebody else fight for it. There's plenty of resources out there. I work for NAMI. We have support groups Monday through Sunday. Monday through Sunday, we have support groups, all different types of support groups.
Mm-hmm.
I facilitate. I'm a certified facilitator. I facilitate a Black Minds Matter group.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays, which is today at 6:30, I facilitate the depression and anxiety group. And out of all the stuff I've been through, and I really didn't like men, I facilitate a men's group now. It's crazy that I look at that stuff and I'm just like I had someone, a guy sometime, I said, I've been through a lot. I would have never thought me, Talik Monroe, would have been facilitating a men's group. Because when I go around men, still to this day, I feel a little comfortable. I feel like I don't fit in. But for me to do that, it's resources out there. You just gotta go out there. Y'all need anything? My inbox is always my phone is always on my hand. If I'm not asleep, I can definitely reach out, point you to some resources. But make sure y'all get into therapy, support groups, everything. And yes, because shout out to Nick. Nick is the runner, the owner of NAMI Bucks County, PA. He's like the boss and everything. And he gave me my opportunity to facilitate. It's so good.
I like it's bringing tears to my eyes as I'm sitting here just watching you talk about it. 100% genuine. Yeah. You're such a testament to what faith can do, what kind of, just grabbing onto the problem and just breaking it down. I think we do so much avoiding, and you have to turn around and face it. And you did that, and you did the work, and you knew when you weren't doing the work, and then when you really did, and to be facilitating a men's group. It's a miracle.
And I want to say one more thing, to add one more thing.
Sure.
For the men out there, or just women that's parents, make sure you talk to your kids about mental health. Oh my God,
oh yeah.
There was a story about this guy, this little 12-year-old boy named Drake that died by suicide. He was 12 years old. He was being bullied. Out of all the stories that I heard about kids dying by suicide, that broke my heart. I'm trying to get emotional now. One day, it messed up my mental health one day. This happened recently, I think a month ago. I didn't go to work. I worked from my clock. I called out. I got into a support group at NAMI Bucks. And I tell you, nobody in that group or any part of NAMI saw me cry, heard me cry. I was in a group on Zoom. Oh yeah, all the groups are on Zoom online. I was in group crying. I was like, it's fucked up. Why did that little boy have to go that way? That's not cool. Kids should not have to go there. Parents, we need to talk to our kids about mental health. It starts with, starting with us, but we need to talk to our kids about mental health. Save our babies, save our kids from, dying by suicide. Let's talk to them. Let's get them help, therapy.
Yeah. And they have to know we have to, like you said, take the stigma out of it. There's no reason to be embarrassed. You're not human if you haven't gone through stress, anxiety, depression, and especially if someone has violated you. Please say something, to somebody. It's so important. And I think people like yourself and people who have reached out, who are so afraid, once you finally do, the experience that is that all these people, everyone comes around you and you're like, oh, I do have a community that understands, that's willing to support me, but you can't know they're there until you just say something. They'll come out of the woodwork to say, I understand. I went through that too. And all their resources, all your resources, any resource we mention here, all of a sudden everything's at your fingertips and you feel the support when you've previously felt so alone. Well, I can't thank you enough. I know this is not an easy topic, and you do such a lovely, sensitive job of discussing it. If you have anyone that you know that would be interested in speaking with us in the same way you are today, we certainly would ask that you send them our way. And just thank you. I hope you have a very good rest of your day. And as soon as your episode is about to release, I'll send you the link.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.